coming out here. Evening, not very cool out there. Melissa, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Ewing?
Here.
Mr. George?
Here.
Ms. Migrant?
Yes.
Mr. Troll? Mr. Shannon?
He was talking on the phone an hour ago, so I don't know whether he fell asleep in the chair or what. Is there a motion then to excuse his absence until he gets here or if he comes? What? I don't know. I tried to call.
Motion to excuse and hope he's okay.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Migrant?
Yes.
Mr. Shannon?
Yes.
Mr. George?
Yes.
Ms. Ewing?
Yes.
You have in front of you the minutes from August 9th. If you want to take a minute to look through those.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second? Any further discussion on the minutes? If not, Melissa, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Migrant?
Yes.
Mr. Shannon?
Yes.
Mr. George?
Yes.
Ms. Ewing?
Yes.
You also have in front of you the bank reconciliation for July revenues and the expenditures. Do you have any questions, Melissa? Melissa, do you have something to add to either one of these? We have that, so we know when people come in. Do you want to speak, Jim?
Oh, don't take one thing.
No, would you like to speak?
Oh, no, I don't need to speak. for
But I
that.
do
I'm
need
just-
you to sign in, so you have to come up in front of all of us.
Okay.
And then if there is an agenda. Is there a motion then to accept the July revenues and July expenditures? I wasn't sure which ones.
It's the bank reconciliation. Yeah, those are just underneath, that's just.
Oh, the bank reconciliation. Okay, sorry. So is there a motion then for the bank reconciliation?
Accept bank. Yes. Second.
Any further discussion on that? If not, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Ewing?
Yes.
Ms. Migrant?
Yes.
Mr. Shannon?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. George?
Yes.
We also have the 2021 vouchers. $16,047.92. We'll need to approve those.
Second.
Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. June,
Yes.
Mr. Schroll,
Yes.
Mr. Shannon,
Yes.
Ms. Migrant,
Yes.
Mr. George.
Yes.
And as Melissa informed us the other day, we now have to include the gas and the ERU. We'll take a moment to look over those, please.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Migrant,
Yes.
Mr. Schroll,
Yes.
Mr. Shannon,
Yes.
Mr. George,
Yes.
Ms. June.
Yes.
And while we're talking about gas and ERU, I do have the latest amount up here on the board. If you remember back, ERUs were sent out early June or middle of June. We were looking for 35,000, we're down to 9,510. We do have a list that will probably go to the auditor here at the end of August. And in gas, we started out with 29,226.42. And as of 8/20, we are down 23,427. It is about time for all of those who are on budget to pay that off. So I look to see a difference in that as well. Questions? Visitors. Pam, it looks like you are first up.
Okay, I have just two quick things. 2 months ago, I brought 4 pictures up and $400 for the military flags. I have not seen, I don't know where we stand at, but I have not seen any more new military flags put up. So what's the status?
The gentleman's printer broke. They have been printed. Jared has approved all of them. He thought they would be here this week and be put up this week.
Oh, okay.
So,
I didn't know whether it has been tabled till next
no.
year or what, or
no,
what the thing
our
is.
plan is to get them up where the American flags are at right now. Our American flags look pretty shabby. So when we take the banners down, probably throughout the winter, then we'll put flags back up.
Okay, and my next thing then is the sidewalks. Wasn't it like a year or so ago, the town got some kind of grant or money to do sidewalks?
No, we did not get a grant for sidewalks per se for residential area. We did receive what is a community grant, and that was the new sidewalk that was put in at the park. That went from the parking lot to that back
Okay.
house.
So what about the sidewalks in front of people's houses? Are you gonna do anything? Ask them or?
There are several of them that need to be addressed, but to be honest, all of us have had a lot more on our plate. I'm trying to get things back up.
Okay.
So I apologize.
Well, no, I mean,
Right.
it's been like, I think this question has been brought up and brought
It
up and
has.
brought up. And for some reason, it keeps being put on the back burner. So I didn't know, where the sidewalks.
I would be very happy the day that comes to a high priority.
Yeah.
That we can get to that, the other stuff has been taken care
Okay.
of. But thanks, Pam.
Yep.
And hopefully you'll see them up there yet this week. They have not arrived here, they're shipped directly to us.
So when do we, will they contact us then when to come up and get our pictures?
Yes, they will be brought back to us. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that. I give the young lady, whoever she is,
Haley, yes.
yeah, my phone number and I told her,
Yes, they will
when
give
they're
them all
done, to
back
give
to
me
you.
a call.
Because many of them, that's the only picture they have. And I will tell you, Gene Clark, we are getting his banner put up As Maury informed me, he's one of the only ones left from World War II in the entire area. So I would like to do a feature article, see if I can get the Courier to do something on that and get Gene's picture with his family. Mike,
I know last meeting, we discussed, that Steve Sterrett was issued a letter for about that back lot. He's no longer allowed to go to the cemetery. Now, at this point, how do we proceed forward as far as him taking care of that lot?
you're on cemetery. You were the one that delivered the letter, correct?
You know, should go to bridge like we had on before.
Right, so do I call you guys to let you know the lot's not mowed, that it's getting out of hand, or how do we handle it?
I mean, I've been driving down there. He must have mowed it right before that letter.
Yeah, he mowed it right before the
So, no. If you can't go on the property, I mean, you have to stay on the property. You had a bridge before, correct?
He didn't take care of it, it washed out into the creek.
Water came up. He'll get his letter and get a fine.
I mean, that's the
Keep
only way
going.
I can see to proceed until he does. You gotta take care of it, so.
Well, the tree in the front yard,
Yeah, I saw it.
finally,
Yeah, I saw
after
that.
years.
I saw that one.
What
Chuck was
year,
happy.
what year was that? 16, 17,
The last letter. it seemed to go.
19?
I do have a question about that.
Mhm.
That we're, the cemetery has stopped Tim, prevented them from getting access to his back lot and all it. Without a bridge, and the village was back there, owes it, then we access it to his taxes. How are we gonna get back there?
We'd get permission from the cemetery, I would assume.
Or was it Dustin in charge of that?
Yeah, either that or the cemetery goes and mows it.
Guess we'll cross that bridge when
Cross
we
that
come
bridge
to
when we
it.
get
Oh, well, there's no bridge.
Well, if it continues like this, it could be a dry spot he can drive through.
Right?
May I ask one more question? What about the house that's across from Midge and there, where Eloise
It's-
Newcomer used to live?
It's
Is-
going for foreclosure September.
September
We-
14th, it will be auctioned off at sheriff's.
We got a notice from the prosecutor's office. The homeowners surrounding it did.
Okay, no, I would just, I mean, that's sad.
25,000 if you like it.
I think it was praised at 28.
The letter, I believe, said 25.
Okay, well, the prosecutor himself or assistant told me 28.
There's a pool buried in the backyard. The ladders are still there.
Well, I know there used to be, but there's no swimming pool there now. But there used to be.
You can pretend with the ladder.
Dig it up and see if it works.
And then on that other note, his truck's still in the backyard, is that, he was serving a letter for that one, right?
I have not been back there.
I haven't, I haven't seen that thing, but, so. Yeah, I don't know. what it is that-
Does he have it so you can't see it from the road?
Yeah, you can't see it from the road, but if you walk the track, you can see it from the track, so. Because he's got trees going off all the way
That's a shame, because that used to be one of the nicer looking properties in this.
around. It was,
Yeah.
Brian and Judy, owned it.
It
prior to that as well.
was a pole
Washes.
barn.
How many years has it been since that? first been opened?
Might not want to open it.
Okay, Ed,
I'd just like to thank the village for providing for the sheriff's department and our police to help us at Cookie Festival, allowing us to use the park. And we felt it was a fairly good day, had a nice crowd, beautiful, sunshiny, cool day, which I know helped a lot. We were a little disappointed in our turnout for the band and that we had in the evening. But then we're looking for any suggestions, volunteers for another year. I know the committee that's on it right now is getting tired. And we'd like some new blood and ideas. Still working on a case from 2 years ago, trying to figure out something on that. And appreciate the open swim. And I guess that's all I have for that. So we thank you and we'll see what we can do another year. I think we had good turnout with different groups in town, Lions Club, Rotary, put up tents. The Methodist Church did a sand art for the kids, and they all seem to have a good time. And again, we appreciate all the support. Thank you.
Well, thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you.
Committee.
Thank you.
I know it takes a lot to put something like that together. It's too bad the band was very good.
I think their name was very deceiving.
It was,
I expected country.
that's what I did for all women, the hen out, so.
Yeah, it was $1,200 for the band. It cost us $600 for the tent, and I think we maybe had 50 to 60 people at $5 a head. So, and wipes out in a lot of funding that we could use for something else. So,
On his other thing is, we don't have any updates on the case from 2 years ago.
No, I have not heard anything from the sheriff's office.
oh, and the car show, yeah. Yeah.
I heard the car show was
So, I think they had just shy of 60 cars for that. So,
I did see where someone thought it, they had more signage and had a shuttle running from the front to the back. and everything. I didn't. I knew it was back there, but when you're on this side of the reservoir, you don't have an idea that it's.
the way everything's laid out.
Yeah.
Too much different. I suppose we could possibly use that side lot where the log cabin is. And then if we could kind of, maybe go back, even use the tennis court area, kind of tie that all together to keep it more up front, but then how many cars you're gonna get, whether you're gonna have enough space in. So,
Just saying, some people with a little classic car may be a little hesitant to put it up with a big crowd like that. Like the.
also trying to stay close by their cars, so. So,
I like the idea of a shuttle.
I did do that, you know, that wagon that they use for the Memorial Day. You know, maybe something like that, going back and then coming back every so often. I don't know, who owns that one?
That's
It's from Arlington.
Oh, so it's not a local,
No,
They used it for theirs.
okay.
It was in their parade anyways, Friday night.
but the problem with that is when we go to use it for Memorial Day, we have to let him know at least 2-3 months ahead of time. And like this year, Arlington's having their parade or their thing the same time we was. And 9 times out of 10, he's got smoke for up there and, you know,
Right,
Does Legacy? The elevator crane company, do they have one like that for
no,
touring lots?
but you can get over at Whiteville area to research for them.
Okay.
You can get wagons there, but the problem is, you get them wagons, then you gotta get house trailers steps and put up to them so people can get up on them and get off. But they do have wagons over there with seats on.
thank you. For committee reports, since we've met last, we've had 4 committee meetings. Planning and zoning, Mitch,
We met on Monday, August 16th at 3:30. The first thing we discussed was an open burning bonfire discussion behind the businesses on Main Street with the apartments above. And it's an ongoing issue between 2 residents of the buildings, between Primrose and the barber shop. One resident continues to have bonfires while the other one continues to call the fire department and or come up here and complain. They did find a provision in our nuisance law. We sent that to Rob, and I think he has answered that question since our meeting, and I believe it's a civil issue, would you say?
Well, I dealt extensively with the complaining party on this and concluded that, I have a whole file on it, concluded that by way of a letter on April 30th, 2020. I mean, the Ohio EPA has been involved, the Hancock Public Health Department, local fire district, local fire chief. He gave his opinion on the matter. There's some issues of truthfulness and exaggeration and all kinds of stuff. But at that point in time, in late April or middle of April of 2020, you know, when the issue came up here to council, it was the idea that there is not an open burning ordinance here in the village, and council could certainly have one. Or there's no burning at all, or it looks like Finley's, where it's for cooking. So if the guy wants to have the appropriate controlled fire with a grate and sides and 50 feet from the structure, and he's cooking chicken on it because he's using mesquite wood or whatever, that's fine. But burning a couch or burning leaves or burning wood and not standing by it, etc., that can be made illegal if it's in the village. So I know at that time I provided a copy of Finley's, and I can do that again. It doesn't meet all needs of the community. You can pick your own, but we could draft it. I think I also attached a document from the EPA on their, you know, the way they say it should or shouldn't be done, and the way that this gentleman's doing it over there is not any way acceptable to them, but it's not illegal in the village of Van or the village of Macomb. So it could be addressed by ordinance or left alone. The fire chief didn't seem to have much concern over it. He was called out there once saying there was a roaring fire, and went out there and he could have put his hand in it.
I think the issue stems from a fire, whether it was arson or not, I don't know that it can be determined, that was concerning for the building going up.
Yeah.
One suggestion from one of the members of zoning was to get all the downtown business owners together and say, you know, kind of put it on them.
Same thing, do you want it happening next to your residential home?
So,
If it's so hot, it burns their siding and catches their house on fire. I've seen pictures where the stone has been burning and it's awful close.
yeah,
As a follow-up to what Rob just, this is kind of related to the fire meeting, but the chief reported that there was still ongoing issues with this same issue that's been ongoing for years and years. The issues have escalated. There's now an arson being investigated by the state fire marshal. The chief noted that the Bundy family had made threats, rude comments to the fire district, and they will do drive-by of the property and will not engage until a law enforcement agency is on the scene.
You know, there has been, this is not the only issue. I mean, you know, I realize the fire pit has been made it to the top of that particular list. But in that list also, we have had a 2-hour parking restriction on Main Street passed because of some issues. And then, you know, after a year and a half or whatever it was, you know, that got to be out of control. There's, you know, so we nixed the ordinance and went back to normal parking. We have parking that's open to the public there in the paved area that is the villages. That right now is occupied by a lot of people from apartments as their parking lot, not open really to the village. Some of those cars are loaded all the way to the ceiling inside their cars with all kinds of material, if you will, or hoarding items that propose another problem. We have ingress and egress issues. We have parking issues behind all the buildings that are owned by some of these property owners because they are required to provide parking for their apartment dwellers of however many spaces it is. I don't quote me off the top of my head because I'm not really sure. There's like 1 space per apartment or 1.5 spaces per apartment or. Yeah, well, it's that's what I can't remember. I can't remember what it really says. We have drainage issues coming off the buildings. So maybe we get the property owners together and say, here's what's on the books. Here's what you need to abide by. The fire pit is not the only issue, but either participate in it or, you know, we can start nixing everything and then everybody gets tickets and we'll just take them to court. That's the only other option. I hate to play parent like that. They should be able to maturely manage their own buildings. And I know that we have a lot of building owners that do manage their own buildings and they should be commended for that. We got some that do not. And that's going to ruin it for our other building owners, and that's not fair to them.
Tammy told me you stopped by the other day or went by and there were 2 smokers going and a fire and nobody was
It was
there.
that way all weekend. All weekend, he burned in the pit and in the smokers, and we had what, 90-some degrees, and he was nowhere around. But those fires were going. And the fire marshal was here on Friday for this district, and he said that it was not accidental. He said that fire was not accidental.
Who's got cameras back there?
He does.
He now does, but they're not recording. He threw this big fit about he was getting cameras, but the only
Ed,
one
do
that
you have
can
any
see
cameras?
them is his phone.
She does.
I mean,
She'll be more than happy to have one put up on my building.
We can put one up on ours.
Yeah.
well, I mean, I'm just was curious if anybody, because you're kind of in that vicinity. I thought maybe you might have a camera back there. I didn't have any clue.
Do you smell the smoke a lot?
I would never smell.
And it may not funnel down, it may go up and over the way the draft is, because the next yard is completely locked.
No, I have no windows at the back, well, I got the door that goes out by the elevator, but whatever would come in there, I think it's still right on out the window.
I just wondered if you have.
What about the folks at the bar? Does it ever go, yeah, does it ever, the bars to the west of it, correct? What do they get? Do we know?
I wouldn't think they would get anything from us unless you got an east wind that's take carrying it that way.
I've seen some fires down there without even fire rings.
I'm sorry now.
I said, there's been some fires down there that didn't set around the fire and there wasn't even fire rings.
Back behind the old bar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
There's been a couple spots like that back there.
so we have some issues.
Look into that. Okay. Anything else in that meeting?
We did talk about a proposed split of property between the grocery store and the storage facility behind it, the storage units behind it. We were given 2 options. Before we decided, one of the options is going to require approval from the state for access to 186. So we sent that back and said, get your approval or denial from the state and then we'll make a decision.
Is utilities run down behind those properties, don't they?
Mhm.
So doesn't he's not gonna gain a lot by that.
I don't think he
Yes,
wants a
allowed right
key
away.
lot, but I need to know if he's gonna get access from this. I think the committee needs to know if he's gonna get access from the state before we can decide which way we're gonna, because option B is gonna be landlocked, basically. So, but his other option is gonna require access from the state. And I don't know that we'll get that granted to him. If anybody didn't see those maps, Greg or I have them. We did talk again about a proposed home business. That's further discussion on that is going to take place. I did pull some zoning stuff. I'm going to forward to Rob and see what he has to say about that. So other than that, we discussed the 2 housing developments, one going on the east side, one going on the west side. once they get those a little bit more established, they'll come meet with us. I know the one on the east side, they're trying to get an additional access. They're in negotiations with a property owner. So that they can have 2 access points to that. And the west side is also moving along quite fast, faster than I think we expected, maybe.
Okay, thank you. Finance meeting, Brenda.
Well, we followed planning and zoning, so we had a relaxed presentation after them. We went over all of the restricted budget items. I did not really do minutes because we were working on our worksheets at the time, and we have another finance meeting planned for September, as you know, the 3rd Monday. During that meeting, after I kind of canvassed some of the other participants, since we were all there, we have some paragraphs that we're going to write up about how we come about some of those figures, like sometimes in restricted funds, we add our appropriations year to year to year so that we have larger ones to carry forward, because we're going to use them as we're going forth, like on some of our water and sewer projects. That same type of carry forth doesn't always occur in, like, say, some of the lines in the general fund. So I've already talked with Melissa, and we will be sitting down doing those paragraphs. They'll get them the week before the meeting, and then what we have planned is that we will have the final copy of the 2022 budget ready to go at the last meeting of September for the first reading. Okay.
And we'll put that one together early this year.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. No headaches.
All right, PMP, Jim?
Yes, happy to say that Jeremy was able to hire some EMTs. He's feeling a lot more relieved about that. Because at one time he was thinking maybe he's gonna have to shut that, shut part of the coverage down. But when people stepped up, he hired a retired guy, and he seemed pretty happy with that. So that's the biggest thing about that.
Thank you. Joe, don't fire district.
Yeah, meeting was called to order. All were present, all of the board. Anthony has reported that there were 63 calls so far in 2021, and that's pretty much normal, he said. There was unfortunately one fatality and one recently out on Ray Road. I think it was all. They spent a lot of time out there doing cleanup and fire. I reported on the issue across the street over here already. They have had all their hoses tested. I don't remember how many thousand feet of hose they had, but it was thousands, and there was like 165 feet or something that didn't pass. So it was like, 1 or 2 little sections of hose. He is working on, Anthony is working on a recruitment video to help get some new blood, I guess, maybe going in there. And he's seeking some help from Finley University and other sources. And he'd like to put it on the Facebook page. And it was also noted that the levy is up for renewal in November, and would like to hope that everyone would be supporting that. We brought forth to the board members seeking direction on which direction to go with to move forward on the purchase of a new truck, or getting purchase order or a requisitions ready. The board was in favor of getting 1 truck to replace 2, and not repairing the 124 truck, I believe the number is, which was, then it's close to $124,000, $130,000 for repair. So that the board approved, or that we would be seeking bids from at least 2 companies for the new truck. Anthony also reported that he had contact with a place named Ohio First Responders Grants LLC, and they are, the board approved for them to write 3 grants. One was for, the first one was for the self-contained breathing apparatus, which is the mask, the backpack and all that. I forget the number exactly what each one of those costs, but I think it's like $3,500, something like that. So it's a big chunk of money. All the ones they have right now that they've had for like 12 of the 15-year life or something to that effect, they're all gonna need to be replaced. They've also got to write another grant for some more hoses and nozzles. They've got a lot of nozzles that are 25, 30 years old, they have some issues with. And there's also a lot of federal money out there right now for vehicle acquisition for the purchase of a new grass. Their grass truck, I don't know the exact age of it, but it's been around a while, has some issues. So there's we have appropriated money to for these grants to be written, and hopefully without not too much long, we will know whether we get the money. I think it's
Successful grant.
there's a lot out there that's available, and hopefully we can take advantage of it.
Thank you, Jim. Under old business, in your packet, actually, Kansas Technology Agreement is the one that we all looked at before and have some questions about. With Rob's help here. Rob came up with some language, and Seth put both Rob's suggestions in the contract without even questioning it. He did say he was going to check with one of his legal persons. Whether he did, I do not know. But the new language is under terms. And the original one had basically, if we broke the contract with him, and then we would still have to pay the remainder of that year. Which to me, if he violated it and he caused us to terminate it, we should not have to pay. So Rob, do you want to?
No, it's just in the language in the term
Term.
caption on page 2, that, the council had a concern over who was working for him, if ever, now. And so we added the language, plan chooses, he added, if we chose to terminate early, we pay the balance, just like you would a residential rental agreement, but we put in there, if we chose to terminate the agreement other than for material breach of the contract by Panda, which means not doing the things that we're interested in not doing, the balance of fees on the other contract would be due immediately. So if he breaches a material term, which that concern of council would be material, then we're out.
Without paying the rest of the contract off.
And then I had pointed out to the mayor that also, and he already had it in the front, that he'll obey all reasonable instructions and directions issued by client, which is us. So certainly, if something needs to change down the road, or there's a new concern, and then we had one more language.
Yes, you added the second paragraph.
Oh.
Confidentiality.
Oh, yes, the one that starts with in furtherance of confidential, right?
On page 3 of 4, the second paragraph.
Right, that's the one. Right. We don't want to hire any past employees of the village, because if there's bad relationship between the village and that employee, we don't want to hire around the building or do all that thing, so. We could always give written consent, I suppose, but other than that, he's not supposed to.
So I did get this together. He sent it back to me last night. Melissa printed out a copy today, and when we get, you want to do it now, legislative? It's not on here, but we have one ready.
You have an ordinance?
You want, did you put that out to everybody?
Yes, everybody has a copy of the contract.
Second page. Kathy.
So why don't you go ahead and read that and then we'll see if we have a motion and discussion.
Ordinance 2021-24, an ordinance authorizing the mayor of the village of Macomb, Ohio to enter into a contract with Panda Technology for technology services for the village of Macomb, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
Let's suspend it. Let's suspend.
Mhm.
Motion to suspend.
We currently have a motion to suspend the rules of the all three readings. Any further discussion?
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Migrant,
Yes.
Mr. Stroll,
Yes.
Mr. Shannon,
Yes.
Mr. George,
Yes.
Ms. Ewing.
Yes.
Second and third reading, and someone makes a motion to adopt, and there's final discussion and vote.
Second and third reading of ordinance 2021-24.
Second.
And we have a motion to adopt first and second. Any further discussion before roll call?
I have one question. It may not be pertinent to the actual contract. The, do we have anything in our purview for the cameras being removed from the swimming pool?
I have a contract, or not a contract, excuse me, a quote from him.
Mhm.
And that is what I'm going to apply for the park district.
I think we should probably, and I don't think it pertains to this, but we probably need to suspend that connection.
Since the pool is there.
Well, yes, and because there is a hardware that he can't control. And that provides a backdoor in, so we need to cut that connection. Does that make sense? And like I said, I don't think it pertains to this, but I don't want to open that
Okay.
to the piece in here for an individual or individuals outside that he wouldn't be able to control. And like I said, I don't think it really has to do with the contract, but I think if we shut it off, we're abiding by our rules that way. That's all I had.
Any further discussion?
Did he get a breakdown by chance of the hours he spent at each?
At each spot, I forgot to ask him that. I supposed to do that, you're right, sorry. I'll make another note. I know he has it because
Yeah, he talked about it when he was here with us. I thought he was gonna send it to you actually, but maybe I misunderstood that.
so I will get it.
It'd just be interesting to see.
And then I still say that we are higher this year with the hours, even though he didn't charge us above and beyond because of all of the new people coming in and the upgrading.
Right, yeah.
Okay, Melissa, please call the roll on that.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Ewing,
Yes.
Mr. Stroll,
No.
Mr. Shannon,
Yes.
Ms. Migrant,
Yes.
Mr. George.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Under new business, any other old business? Okay, under new business. As in the past, when there is a seat open on the Northwest Water District, we have to appoint of who we would like. Sometimes there's more than one person running. It appears that this year we only have one person, a Mark Shepherd. In your packet, Melissa has copied for you. You have to pass a resolution, and then this has to be sent back to Northwest. So if you see the actual ballot on the back, the name of the nominee, Mark Shepherd, a box that says please vote by ranking your preferred candidate. I don't think we have much choice this year on that. So the resolution is 2021-04. Oh, yeah. 5, and it is right in your paperwork there. They actually are the one that passes it along to us. So do you want to at least just read the top of that and go from there?
Resolution 2021-05, a resolution submitting votes to fill vacant board seat on the Northwestern Water and Sewer District.
With the resolution, we do not have to rehear it in 3 readings. It's just a one-time deal, so.
The 25, I'm sorry, second number,
5, 2021-05.
05.
Yeah.
It's right behind the ballot. And it was not included on the front page, I'm sorry. Just said Northwest Water.
Right, where you
Yeah.
put it in, I knew.
Are we doing our own, or are we using the one that's,
We will use the one they provide.
well, that's fine, but I got lost with the number there, I'm sorry.
We have one of our own.
2021-24, right?
That's an ordinance. Now we're doing
This
a
is
resolution a little different.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, that's
Good,
okay.
but we do have to change that as Rob's quick eyes just noted, they say Wood County. Oh, we are not.
There, no, yeah. No, therefore be ordained by Village of Macomb.
I mean, we don't have to do it tonight, we can bring it back next meeting, doesn't matter. Or we can just change it on there to Hancock and pass it on.
We have to pass it.
I think they frown on you if you do not submit it, because I recall the last time there were a couple villages that did not, and they tracked them down.
Well, we can frown on them for some of their stuff.
I know,
they've got going
I
on,
know.
so, I mean,
Exactly.
fix some of our problems, and then we'll pass your resolution.
I mean, I'm assuming it does.
I would assume since it's a resolution, but
Yes.
Anybody have any idea who this coach? Jennifer is?
he's currently on there. You want to hold off and use some checking? That's fine. I'm okay with it. I know.
Well, they've got roads, they've got sinkholes, they're blocking people's properties right now. I mean,
The paving should have been done.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll just come back to that later. On the council reports, let's start different this time. How about you, Greg? Do you have anything to add tonight?
No, I don't.
Rose?
I have nothing tonight.
Brenda?
Of course. Of course, I'm going to open my mouth and get shot, but I actually have information from Northwest Water and Sewer District, so shoot me now. I received word that beginning on or about the next week or so and through the month of September, the EPA dictates that the valves be opened and closed, much like fire hydrant flushing. We have to flush all the valves in the village. So Northwest Water and Sewer will be going through and opening and closing different valves that involve the water lines. So we may see some turbidity in our water or discoloration of some sort in our water. The water will be continually tested. It should remain safe for drinking. It's advised that if you see a change in your water coming through the tap, that you flush your tap, like if you were digging. So that's something new. And the other thing, actually, we had the question about paving. So I went to them and asked what some status is. And as you recall, we got an update recently by your email, I believe, that deals with some of the paving issues as well as the finding of the tanks on the old Little property. The EPA was down. They did all of the testing on all of the soil, and even though the soil was contaminated, it was not contaminated to the point wherein we have to do more extraneous excavation, I guess you could use as the word. So, but anyway, I know that some folks think that the paving on 235 or something is responsibility of the village. And Todd Street got paved, and but that is within the subcontractor of where the contract laid underneath when it was granted from Northwest Water and Sewer. So they are still on track to be finished by the end of September, even though we've had some setbacks. That was the word from folks there.
You're gonna put out an announcement about water to the public?
Actually, I got that announcement to put on our website. I got that late this afternoon, so it's already on.
Okay, because I know that sometimes.
Yeah,
it's
it's already on. Yep, I double checked that this afternoon. Mhm.
Anything else, Brenda?
No,
Mitch?
From the parks area, I think Mr. Schaup had talked to us, Kurt Schaup had talked to us about possibly putting in a, what would you call this, bullpen, is that what you call it? Yeah. He has submitted, we asked him for pictures of it, what he would like, where his area was gonna be. He has submitted that. There is a tree that's kind of in the way that we'll have to do something with. They are paying for all of it. We asked that they put cement down, and do it right. For anybody who wants to see the pictures, he's got a really nice picture of the Kalida one. It does look nice. So I'm assuming he'll fence that off. Is that what you're assuming? That's
Just
one of my
on
questions.
Just on the one side, the back. of the
Yeah.
picture.
I did, Greg and I both did ask to meet with him, so it's tentative for Monday, the 30th, probably around 3:30 or 4.
Anything else?
I do need to call an executive session for the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of an employer, or I guess investigation of charges or complaints against an employee or official unless the employee or official requests a public hearing. We need to do that at the end, and I need all of council, Greg and Melissa.
Park, I was walking back along the fence road, the nature trail. There are some trees back there that need to be addressed. I hate to have a limb or something come down and hit somebody, take somebody out. There's a couple of big size trees that they holding them up, sapwood.
Get that for the boys.
Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna- Before we could go back to the fire ring incidents, 'cause I can't recall off the top of my head, the ordinance that the village has. Is there anything in there pertaining to a fire being unattended?
I can't recall
think you have
verbatim.
Yeah, I don't think
But-
there's anything.
I do have this getting very close to going to American Eagle. We can look on that, but I don't recall it.
I was thinking that our chief of police observed a fire and smokers going and nobody around. Maybe we ought to have something on the books regarding.
Needs to be attended or something.
Well, yeah, but if you're smoking meat, you're not gonna be out there attending it. Most people I know don't anyway, for the 8 hours it takes to smoke something. I don't know about the smokers in the audience, but well, that's a little bit different, but
And his smokers, the doors are wide open. I mean, there's just, the only
What?
thing that, it's just smoke coming out of them.
There's no
You can
food.
tell there's no food on them. I mean, he's just,
I know,
Make it
but
snow.
once you do for one, you
Aggravating.
have to do for everyone, so it can't, I mean, you're gonna have to be very careful about how you do that.
I know, good. You're gonna be opening up a whole nother can of worms.
Oh, yeah, if you tell people they can't leave their smoker, I mean, I'm,
Well, I know you get a brisket on there, it's gonna take 8 hours, 10 hours to smoke.
Okay. Jim, do you have anything?
Yes, Heart and Soul, anybody ever hear of that?
Mhm.
Revenue received, $149,933. And I asked the council, I asked the village residents, where did the money go?
How much was that again?
$149,933, Craig.
83?
33.6, I imagine that's 60, right? Oh, this is- I just asked the residents and the council, where did that money go? The money spent, it's gone. But what benefit did we receive from Heart and Soul? Where did the salaries go? Well, there's supposed to be salaries.
There were salaries approved.
Huh?
I didn't sit on council at that time, but there were salaries approved. I think you know where they went. And those monies were distributed out through the fiscal office.
Pardon?
The monies were distributed out through the fiscal office.
So were
And
they
that was Carol Carey.
Well, Mr. Wasson was paid. My
Who's the
understanding,
Fiscal officer,
Laura Ewing,
Laura Ewing.
yes, she was the beginning fiscal officer.
Yeah.
As the, I don't want to say as the years went along, but I can't remember when it exactly started, so I'm sorry, I'm off the top of my head here. It's 35 or 38,000, I believe, to Mr. Wasson each year, plus or minus that amount, so we'll just say 76,000. After that, Mrs. Carey did pull a salary. I'm not sure exactly what all that was for. There was, I don't know if there was a payment of who was the student assistant that, was he or she paid? I just don't remember. That collected data points. I'm trying to remember all of that, but there were several things put on, and all of that was through the fiscal office. Because it's run like a grant, like any other grant.
Right. So the fiscal officer was in charge of dispersing this money?
That is my understanding. So there would be a record of it.
As of June 2019, we had 34,52,53 left. Nothing has been done with that money. And I don't know who's in charge of that, because Laura
Well,
Ewing is no longer the fiscal officer. So where's the money?
Give your records.
it sits in the fiscal officer's record. She
So-
carries a
It's in
record
the
book.
bank.
So
It's in the
who's-
bank.
How do we spend it, or how do we do whatever?
I think you have to wait through a certain period of time, maybe before you can.
it's all prior to
I
us.
think
There,
so.
there is a time lapse. I can't tell you what it is, Melissa, I'm sorry. But if you would check with Mrs. Carey, you would find out at what point that drops off. But it is considered basically government money. So you become the government entity of that fund. So I believe Mrs. Carey has, I don't want to say control of it, but she has the rules for it. How's that? And I might be wrong. Maybe Ed, do you? I mean,
I haven't seen it.
and I know that, I don't know, well, I shouldn't say I know. I believe that she still uses some of that money to work with the EDO, but I am uncertain of that.
Some of it did go to the EDO.
Yeah.
$2,000 of it went to the park. There were some bounce houses. There was a lot of dinners.
Mhm.
a lot of dinners, a lot of expenses, credit cards, and it's all right here.
Yeah.
Melissa run it all for me.
Yeah.
I'm going to contact the Village of Mount Blanchard. They also got a heart and soul grant.
Yes, they did.
And I'm told they used it much, much more wisely. This is what I challenge the council. You know, money's going to spend, no doubt about that. Can't go back. But I'm going to go to Mount Blanchard and request records and see where their money went. I'm told that it was spent much more wisely.
They're not pulling money out of that currently for things.
No.
Correct.
Not since.
I think that box up there.
But
Some of the
you turn around and you look at that sign behind it. And then look where this money went. Right here it is. Anybody wants to see it? I'm not gonna run off copies for everybody, but it's right here.
Anything else, Jim?
Nope.
Resolution R 2104. It was in regards to the indigent person.
Oh, yes.
Okay, that's okay. And we have sent a copy of a resolution over to Rob. He did bring a few others from areas with us, with him that day. He felt that we had everything from all the others included. I called Jackie last week down at the Crystal Gale. And lo and behold, she had received a call from this gal's son from West Virginia. And he was supposed to be up here that day. So currently, she has been cremated and she's sitting on the shelf. So if the son decides he wants her, based on a resolution, he will have to reimburse the village for the cost. So evidently, there must have been some, whether he claims her or not. So you want to go ahead and read that, please?
Resolution 2021-04, a resolution setting forth the terms and conditions for the proper disposal of the remains of an innocent person who is a legal resident of the village at the time of death.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion on that? It does state in there that we will put some type of signage out if we do end up burying her. We think it's a steel, so it could be one of those signs that has their name and then a steel stain. Okay, please call the roll.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. George,
Yes.
Mr. Schroll,
Yes.
Mr. Shannon,
Yes.
Ms. Ewing,
Yes.
Ms. Migrant.
Yes.
Do you have any additional?
Very pleased to get that call from the state auditor that they were going to waive the late fees and interest for financial recovery for the 2020 audit, which is a breath of fresh air,
What were they gonna do if they didn't pay them? Did they say?
close to $1,200. The late fees and penalties that were paid, we are not allowed to pay those. I mean, it's not supposed to incur them to begin with, so. That is welcome news. Hopefully it continues going forward.
Do we have a report from the audit at all?
They're running behind. She said it could be another couple weeks, but we haven't opened. Or whatever they call it, I forget the term
An
now.
exit
Interview, yeah. Exit conference.
Any other questions then for? Thank you. Administrative report, right?
I got a few things listed. Hit on a couple of them here. The first one, we did get our House Bill 168 grant application to the county engineer. He requested $598,668. For the local match, we can use our ARPA funds plus the grant that we can get, plus the WPCLF loan guarantee, which we are approved for at 0% for 20 years. If we do want to go longer than 20 years, I think it's
20 or something.
yeah, it's like 0.37. But that's done, and turned in. Mayor Troll just talked about number 2. Number 3, through our Bureau of Workers' Comp, we received a 4% discount for a drug-free safety program. I sent this gentleman what we had on file. And of course, it needs updated. Nothing was updated before 2018. According to the medical marijuana laws, then it's not up to par with what the BWC wants. So I have contacted this gentleman for $100. He will update our policy. I talked it over to Kathy, felt that was a good investment to do. We saved 4%. Also, I found out we were supposed to have an hour of training every year. That could be an online training or an in-person training. I chose this year to have an in-person training. I set that up for September 7th at 1 o'clock. That's for all employees. And then after that hour training, there will be another hour training. Will be for Tammy, myself, and Kathy. So we can implement rules that we learned in the first hour. I think this total, all that to happen is $500. $200 of that would be a one-time fee. The rest, if we chose to have in-person training or hour training each year, it's $300. I just want to do it this year to get myself in line with what they want, how to fill the forms out, and make sure that we're compliant. He's also going to show us more policies that we can do that are not too difficult, that we can receive more percentages off our workers' comp. So I asked him if he would make a report for us on that. Number 5, I've been in contact with HIVAC. Actually, they have not responded back to me. I've called, I've emailed. I asked this Brian Hall by voicemail and email about the warranty. Not responded back to me. Has also not responded to date. I got thinking on that, if we tried to hire somebody to drive it down, since we have no one that has a CDL. I called PEP. There's a long list of things that we have to do. And we have to have whoever drives it down for us to make sure everything's insured. So I didn't want to overlook that, I guess. So I don't think there's going to be a cost for us. It's just that whoever we ask to do that, we're going to have that. He sent me a list of what I want for that. I don't know if you want to talk about your idea on that.
I can. I haven't run it by Rob yet. It just
So
came
maybe we
about.
don't- Maybe we don't want to talk about that.
We do have someone that has done a lot of work for the village. Basically through contractual services that we paid. This gentleman does have a CDL. And the thought would be, since we do hire him now and then, what if we put that person on possibly as a part-time employee? And use them when we needed their service? And he could be on our list and be CDL driver.
To drive the truck when we need to do it.
I would also check with
Oh, yeah.
our agent.
He's all, I mean, but we were looking at that might be one way that it might be an easier way to do it than all of it.
If he's an employee, we're responsible for his liability.
Right,
If he's in contract driving a truck, he's on his own.
right. That's why we were looking at the
Found
possibility.
how often this is something.
But is this instead of Jared getting a CDL to drive it when we need it? Is that what you're saying?
Gentleman does do a lot of work for us right now in contractual services. So as opposed to paying contractual services, we would pay an hourly wage. But that just all came about
Right, on
today.
another, on
So,
another issue we addressed a while ago, we were looking at the handbook and there's a definition of part-time employee, so he would fit under that.
that's correct,
There's nothing to rewrite,
right.
but I would make sure with the insurance. So to cover part-time and
Right.
label as employee versus independent contract.
And when we do get this truck around and get her going, that person may be hired at the hourly rate to drive that around the village so that our guys are not at non-compliance. I
I
don't,
guess keep you posted on if he's willing to do it, what the company says.
it just was
He
a
fits
thought
your
that
handbook,
came
yeah.
about noon today.
Is Jared not gonna get his CDL?
Well, that would be the thought. I mean, there costs a lot for CDL, so your trade-off might be better this way. I don't know.
What is CDL rate right now? 5,000? Is it higher than that?
Somebody said it was around $5,000.
It could be, I talked to Mike Clark. in the city of Finley. He's going to train. Trains his guys and they're passing it. He must have a relationship with
Whoever's, that's good.
putting the tests on. You know, so he's training them right. But, and he's, you know, he's like, if Jared wants that. you know, But we would lose him during the day to go over there and have them get trained. So I don't think Jared is completely, like, doesn't want to do that, but he's just wondering, you know, it costs you more to get your license renewed, I believe, the CDL. And there's just more costs involved.
And if for some reason this highback place would call us and say, I need you in 3 weeks down here, we want to be ready to roll.
Any other questions on that?
You could still, I mean, it's obviously gonna cost more, you could still have somebody drive it up on a lowboy or something and drive it down there, right? I mean,
Would it be too high on the low boy to go? I don't know.
You
probably have to get-
Tall.
Probably have to get special permits.
Might have to get,
Yeah.
You put that on a drop dead trailer, you might make it.
Yeah, you put it on carry on, you're good.
it's tall.
Number 6, I received an email from FEMA. I don't know why, but it says our area is a, I can't remember the exact words it said, a hard hit area. So they're offering a FEMA grant for stormwater infrastructure projects. The state of Ohio received over 46 million for these grants. I did talk to Paulette. I did a little research on the grant. She was going to get back with me on that. She knew about it. But it does require some cost benefit analysis. But I think that has been done already for the Church Street Interceptor. So I'm hoping we can just take that and move it over to this grant also. So you're going to apply for that too. It doesn't really say how much you can apply for. They just wanted the project. So maybe we can get some. I talked to Evan. He's our local salesman from a company called M-Tech. That's who Hughes uses in our region for the push camera. I was not in the office Friday, so I missed him on Friday, but I called him back today. He is going to be in Finley next week. So I'm going to set up a time with him to come and do a demo. And hopefully we can have some members of the council come and look at that. I don't know what works best, mornings or afternoons or.
Or the one that we know is collapsed.
But I will keep you informed, so, you know, more than just myself and the street department can look and see. Hopefully I find that out by the end of the week.
Where are we at on the conduit that's coming up out of Main Street in
I
Todd?
just talked to Jim Brown today. Next Tuesday, the 31st, having the guys cut the sidewalk, because I gotta cut trenches for the sidewalk. So Tuesday, Wednesday of next week, I'm gonna start doing that.
It's really starting to come up now. I noticed.
And also, I don't know about you guys, but I'm tired of looking at these barrels out here. So they make those plates that are in concrete. It's kind of like it's in the sidewalk down there now that all the wires are in. I'm gonna have Jim and the boys do that for these two to get rid of these orange barrels. And then if you want to put a street light up there again, it can be done. We'll still have access to the wires. So we're gonna do that at the same time. And those plates are like $130 a piece. So I guess I'm ready for something to happen there and get rid of the orange barrel. But I'm gonna have him do that at the same time.
Thank you. Mr. Solicitor,
We covered all that.
we do have a hearing, a small claim set for 14th of September for her gas. She's been calling me the last 2 days now. I'm not giving it. Hey, what do you have for us?
Since our last meeting, I had 19 calls for service, 2 incidences. Wrote 2 parking citations to the guys that decided not to move for the parade. They paid them, so that was a good thing.
And Melissa about felt when she saw money coming in, because we've never had any citations and money given to the village.
That's really about it. Like I said, I spent the day with the fire marshal again. He doesn't feel that he's going to be able to solve it, but he does feel that it was arson.
Any questions for Amy? In my report there, you do have the latest last month's stats from the sheriff department. It is right before Greg. I do have in all of the reports, like I shared last time up here, each individual one. If you want to look through and say, okay, where all did they go? They mentioned a couple of businesses, it's all in there. So anyone that would like to look at that, you're more than welcome. We received a thank you note from the library with Mayor Stoll, council members. What an honor for our library to receive the special recognition in Village Key for our library's 100th anniversary. We sincerely appreciate this kind gesture of the village proclamation, which with much thanks from the director, staff, and board of trustees. Look at that. The day we were down with the ribbon cutting at the sewer treatment plant, Bob Latta presented us with this flag that was flown over the United States Capitol. We have a piece of the ribbon and a couple of the articles and a picture. I've talked with Melissa. We have decided to put it all in a big shadow box so that maybe right back there on the wall, we can put it. Hobby Lobby, we would have to pay tax if we went in there just to say I wanted it. They do have a program where we can get a card that is tax exempt, and Melissa is working on getting that. So next round of half prices for those, I'll get one and we'll get it put together. Just to let you know that it is posted on the website for the Hancock County Board of Elections, that all of the incumbents that are running for council are on the ballot. Last time I forgot this one, the police reports in the past, since 2015, I believe it's in June of 2015, they have charged $5 a report. Tammy asked me about that. I cannot find any of the language. I've looked through most of 215. That said why they started or changed it. I did have the statistics, and I think it was about $70 maybe that we made over the years. On that, I had Melissa pull those. Yeah, it was very minimal. It's probably more of a headache to do all the paperwork. I know the sheriff's department does not charge for their reports. And with her having most things on computers, it can be easily emailed. So something to think about, and I'll bring that back again if we want to continue the charge or if we want to stop doing that. If we do, then we do have to have some type of a motion. Any thoughts or additions to that, Kim?
Most agencies, because it being a public record, doesn't charge. Your accident reports, those things, a lot of the insurance companies will send you $1 for the report because they're paying for your paper. So they're willing to at least pay for the paper. So I guess it's really whatever you guys want.
Okay, so think about that. I mean, it's just, I know with Chief Smith, it was a big thing to make sure that was filled out and we collected the money before we followed up on that. The zoning ordinance, I finally gave up and called Matt Friday. He told me he would send me the template that afternoon, did not receive it. So today I emailed him again, received the template today. So I'm hoping by the end of the week, and this is really will be doubled because it's running back to back, so you can see how thick it is. But I think we're getting very close to having that off to American Legal finally. Trick or treat. I've had the Lions Club talk to me a little bit about this. Trick or treat is on a Sunday this year, 31st. That's when we normally do trick or treat. I know Finley set theirs for Saturday. I contacted Mr. Wolf, the AD out here. If there are playoff games for football, that will be that first Saturday night. So we need to decide when we would like to have trick or treat. I think in the past, it's been they trick from 6 to 7. Then they get uptown and maybe the Lions starts their costume parade like at 7:15 or 7:30. It's over with by 8. Their thought was, is it gonna be too late for the kids? Well, if you do it during the week, it's still gonna be the same time. So we need to decide that.
I'm okay with Sunday, but I don't know how it is.
I do not, I mean, I live across from church. They do nothing at that church on Sunday night. I don't know if any of the other churches do. My guess would be the only one might be a youth group if they have it at this one, but it might be an afternoon Sunday. I don't know.
Why don't you have it on Friday night? Didn't you
That's
say the
football
football
game.
game, why thought you said it would be on Saturday? The playoff.
Depends on which way we are this year. I don't know which way
It'd
we,
be up in the air Friday.
I don't think they-
Friday or Saturday.
yeah, it depends. When you get closer, they dictate to
Sometimes they
you.
pull you to a different region and tell you you're gone. So. Yeah, that's gonna be scary. We would like you to figure this out within the next 30 seconds.
You're doing it on
Sunday
Sunday,
sounds
like
good
you
to me.
push it back to 5 to 6 for trick or treat. 6 to 6:30 to that, or home by 8 o'clock.
I'm fine with
Sunday
changing it.
evening, most people are working, so.
Is 5 to 6 gonna be too much for the dinner? Should we go 5:30 to 6:30? Eating candy. Yeah.
I mean, I don't see a difference between a Thursday and a Sunday at
I
this
didn't
point in
either,
time,
but
as far
they
as the
just
kids
approached
go.
me. But if you do it on a Sunday,
Third shift goes in it.
they're gonna miss it.
Yeah, they're gonna
No
miss it
matter-
regardless.
One of them's gonna miss it. Yeah. So what am I hearing?
Not gonna make everybody happy.
I know. In the past, it's always been on trick or treat. I do know that.
And that is what they,
This Sunday.
Sunday, October 31st.
I'll leave Sunday the 31st, right?
Do it.
I would say we do that.
What time you wanna do?
I say do the normal.
Just,
6 to
yeah,
7?
just keep the
I mean-
normal hours.
Okay.
I mean, the, one of the things about having ours on a different night is you draw a lot of people in from the other communities, so.
Right. Okay, trick or treat will be 6 to 7 on October 31st. I will let the Lions Club know is it, and then I think it's usually 7:15. They figure people are back up Main Street for the costume. Itron, I brought this up a while back about our meters that read the gas are going to become obsolete. The gentleman lives east of Cleveland. He would come here for free, but I figured it'll be about a 20-minute or half-hour thing, and why would you want to drive at $3 a gallon here, turn around and go back? He is willing to do a Zoom meeting, and I would like to have Seth in on that Zoom meeting as well, since it's a IT thing. Do you want to do it during a meeting? Do you want to do it if finance is going to be very short the next time or not, Brenda?
I have
Because you're
no-
going to basically go over your paragraphs, right?
On the finance meeting itself, you mean? I can't answer how long that will go. I really don't know.
Pending any zoning issues that come up, we could probably do it. Do zoning from 3:30 to 4 and then do them from,
3:30 to 4, and then do finance.
I would put him in there,
I
let
would put
finance
him-
cover,
Put him
let
at
finance
4.
drag
yeah.
at the end.
Okay,
If he's only gonna be 20 minutes, a half hour,
I mean, what more can we go
Well,
over with it?
he's got
I
a
don't
time
know.
limit
I
that
need
way.
to see it though, and we want to see if we can try some things before we 6, we've already taken care of, park grant, I am applying for the cameras. And then you have choices for second, third, so I'm gonna put on there that playground equipment would be our second choice. We'll be lucky if we get the cameras. I think it's about 11,000 for everything. Newsletter, beginning this time, all village residents will now be getting a copy, so if you only have water here in the village, you should soon be seeing a newsletter. I am adding a new section, Village Voices. Basically, if people have questions, can't make it to the meeting, they can call in or email us so that we can respond and give that in maybe like the next newsletter. In front of you, you have a pool finance sheet. It has yellow at the top. I do have an article going in the newsletter about that because I've been told that the pool has been paid for. That's not true. If you look at the top there, the years, I started at 215, and at the end of 218 is when the filter was shot. And then we ordered a new one at the beginning of 219. And of course, it arrived after Labor Day that year. 2020, last year, the pool was closed for most of the season. And then I just got the numbers from Melissa up to August 18th. I don't foresee a big change in those numbers since the pool was only open, what, 1 or 2 days following that. As you guys look down through there, you see our total operating cost. I think the high end was 41,950, almost 42. Right now, this year, we were at 18,925, and that's basically only personnel. Under operating cost on down, that was the telephone. If you notice looking across there, in 2020, when our telephone system that we had decided to go bankrupt and we hired Seth, all of the phones are now internet, Wi-Fi. So that is why there is no telephone charge for 2020 or 2021. And if you look at the 1 year, it was $606. So we have made a great savings by using the phone system that way.
Why were the utilities so high in 2017? Did anybody know? Maybe it wasn't split out.
I think there was a leak.
It was 20 grand
Wasn't
almost.
there a year where there was a leak? I was told.
I have
history
no
of
idea.
it. At some point, there was a.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Water.
That would be a good question.
Well, the phone system that we have is pretty shaky, to say the least.
What are the other contractual services? What is that for almost 9 grand in 19?
That is where they installed the new filter.
You install it, you inspect it, you check it, you uninstall it.
So if you look at it up above there, the first 3 lines, the actual revenue, the year-to-date expenditures, and we had just about an average of, well, I did do it at the bottom there, an average of 6-year average loss was $34,420.91. And then on top of that, you need to add your $41,745.76 from our loan. So as you can see, the pool is very expensive. But we're making progress. We are. You got a different system this year for chlorine that was much more economical.
I guess one note on
That's it, yes, that's it.
So is it done in 2020?
that. Looked at. That's it. Loses water and it has a leak.
in the news article, I did put that in there that after the closing, we would be checking it. So that would probably be the only thing that would be a major increase in those numbers up through the August 18th. And our loan is scheduled to mature on 1/15/2023. So I think we're down to about 70,000 on that yet.
Mhm.
Questions? Is the ribbon cutting? I covered everything. So is there a motion then to go into executive? as Stated.
Motion.
We did good. Okay. Second by. Thank you, guys. Please come again.
Yeah, by the way, thank you for this. Very informative, thank you.
When we were up
There was no action from executive. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, guys. Oh, thanks again for helping to get all of Tammy's stuff and that trailer unloaded. It really didn't take long, but of course, it rained that morning.
You don't see this